This is another archival upload of some of my previous mix critique videos. I apologize for the vertical format that this video is about to switch to. This is 206 to 210. This was sent in by Gavin.
Just set it down by the fire and try to get yourself warm. 'Cause I've been waiting a long time for a moment like this.
Honestly, man, this sounds fantastic, except for the vocals, and you did give me a note that said that you needed to re-record the vocals because when you recorded this just to get the song done, you had a cold at the time, so I'm not gonna be that nitpicky about the vocals here. Like, get those vocals sounding good, and this is gonna sound great. Everything else honestly sounds fantastic so far.
You know you are my heart and soul. I'll hold you close until the morning comes and nothing else will matter to me, 'cause you're where I need to be.
If I had to get real nitpicky, I would just say I could use a little more of the bass guitar. Like, I can hear it, but it's not giving me the energy that I would normally expect from bass. But like, honestly, dude, that's my only note. Like, everything else sounds great. Like, you got good definition in the drums, you got good low end and good high end attack. Like, even the vocals, even though you had a cold, they don't sound that bad. Like, synths sound great, like the balance is great. Really, the only thing, fix the vocals, which you already said you're gonna do, and bring that bass up a little bit more. Maybe get it to pump just a little bit more, just give a little more movement to the track. But honestly, dude, this sounds great. So sent in by Jacob. I would assume that this is a little quiet because it's the intro, but looking at the waveform, the whole song is pretty much this volume. So I'm gonna turn this up a bit because it's pretty quiet. You have kind of like a telephone EQ filter going over the whole track, it sounds like. I would normally expect that that was meant to be an intro effect, but going a little longer than I would normally expect it to go, so I'm kind of worried that the whole track is going to sound like that. If it does, like, you need to not use that EQ that way. It got maybe a little bit better during that last transition, but like, you're high passing everything too much. You have like completely cut out the high end of everything above 2K. You still need that information, man. You can't just cut that out. You asked about the repetitiveness. So far, it's honestly not too repetitive. I wish there was more of a melody over the top because that would definitely keep it more interesting. But so like, if it's just an instrumental, you got to have a little bit more going on. But honestly, it's not ridiculously long. It's not ridiculously repetitive yet. So sent in by Derek. I can already tell you've gutted the low mids. You got a lot of stuff starting to approach harshness in the upper mids. It's not too bad yet. There's like one specific synth line in there. That one's starting to get a little harsh, but yeah, there's like no low mid energy in this track at all.
Come with me and you'll see things undreamed.
Dude, and like, this is not great. The vocals aren't there. The lyrics are like corny as all hell. Like, there's a lot of problems here. I think really you need to work on songwriting first before you even start to worry about the mix. But as far as the mix goes, you've gutted the low mids, so it's lacking all of the energy that low mids give to a track. You're starting to get harsh on some things. Things could definitely be balanced better. There's certain things that are significantly higher than everything else to the point that we can't hear some elements in the track. This needs a lot of work, but again, I really think you need to rebuild it from the ground up, like work on the song first, because
An eternal stream, the dark heart of the world.
yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but this song is bad, man. Like, I'm gonna do you a favor and I'm gonna not tag you in the video, but like, you gotta work on your songwriting. This needs a lot of work. This was sent in by GXC.
It's cold and empty, all alone with everything.
All right away, you got way too much going on at like the 2 to 4K area. Everything sounds harsh right now.
Should have known my enemies would control my empathy. Nothing.
Yeah, definitely way too much high mids, not nearly enough low end. Like, your mid range is pretty solid overall. Like, if you just dipped the high mids a bit, then everything from like 250 up to like 6K is relatively solid, but like you don't have enough low end and you don't have enough like really high end, like things above 6K. But just the biggest thing overall so far is those high mids are really cutting through way too much. And there's not much else I can say. Like, it sounds like pure white noise. Like, there's so much of those upper mid frequencies, it's ruining everything else. The low end is pretty much non-existent. Everything below 200 is like basically not there. The low mids sound pretty solid, which is good, but the complete lack of low end is definitely making the harsh high mids sound even more harsh by comparison because there's nothing on the low end to counteract it. All I can really say is don't push those high mids so much, and you gotta have that low end actually in the track. This was sent in by Joe. All right, first of all, this is really quiet. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. But other than that, I'm already noticing that the kick sounds really boxy. You got a lot of really nasty mid-range frequencies in the kick. So far, that's the biggest problem, but it also feels like, in general, too much going on in the high mids and not enough going on in the low mids. And honestly, it sounds mostly well balanced. I think the biggest thing is just like the last guy, you have too much going on in the high mids. Like, if you just put a shelf on everything above like 1K and just brought all of that down like a couple dB, I think the overall balance of everything would be really good because other than the fact that the high mids are so overpowering, everything does sound pretty well balanced. Like, I can hear all the instruments pretty well. I can tell that you have a pretty full frequency range overall. It's just with how much you've pushed those high mids, it's making it sound like there's not enough of everything else by comparison. Like, you gotta remember, everything is a balancing act. If you have too much high end, even if the low end still technically exists in the track, it doesn't feel like there's any low end. And vice versa, if you push the low end a ton, it feels like there's not enough high end in the track. It's all a balancing act. You gotta find the right relationship between the high and the low end.